Hi, Jessica. Can anybody hear me?
Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good. So today Jenny and I are going to be like hosting this part of the workshop, and then we can probably start pretty soon.
Okay, sure.
So,
Let me know when to start.
okay, perfect. So, like Zoom, there should be people joining in the lobby. So if there are like interactive portions and they're not in the room, we probably can't interact with them because this is like live streamed. So they're just watching.
Okay, no problem there.
Okay. Jenny, when you're ready, we can start streaming and then maybe you can do a quick introduction.
Yeah, sounds good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Jenny, and I am the Operations Director at Project Tech Conferences Vancouver. On behalf of the exec team, we appreciate each and everyone's attendance at PTC Vancouver's track in the conference Tech Entrepreneurship. We organize a variety of interactive talks and workshops, and today's session is a workshop brought to us by George Jinadu. Now I'll pass it over to George to host today's workshop.
Okay, hi. All right, so the video is coming up. Great. Hi, everybody. My name is George. I think my video is gonna cover up in a few seconds, trying to get that to happen. So today, we'll be talking about how to create an online community and turning it into a business. So one of the most interesting
Oh, Jenny, can you still hear anything?
No, I can't hear anything.
Okay, he's gonna rejoin.
Okay.
Okay, hi guys. Sorry, I had some technical challenges, but I'm back now. I had to change my system. Try to see if I can do it with my phone. Just a second while I share my screen. We'll be
Okay,
talking.
no worries. Your microphone sounds better now.
All right, great, great. Okay, so let's do share content. Okay. Can you see my screen right now?
Yep, we can see it.
All right, awesome, great. So, yeah, sorry for that technical challenges. So today we'll be talking about how to create an online community and turn it into a business. So the very interesting thing about it is the world is becoming global today, and what you see a lot of is people taking things from the physical space to online space. And I think with what happened with COVID in 2019 and fully 2020, where there was global lockdown, it became more important to try to figure out how to change the way we all work and business is done. So effectively, people sort of got used to changing how things happen. So prior to now, you're used to, okay, communities, everybody was able to meet. You could have gatherings as large as 1,000 people, depending on the size of the room. But with COVID, COVID has changed a lot of things, and what it has brought to the forefront is a couple of people now paying attention to people who used to do things online prior to COVID, but people never paid attention to it. So today we'll be talking about how to turn an online community into business and actually making money from it. So from our key areas of topic today, we're going to look at what online community is, what is the definition, and what can pass to be called an online community. Then followed by what are the benefits of an online community? You know, what are actually the advantages of putting your community online as against it being physical? Because everything has its own good side and the downside. You especially when people are used to meeting face to face to be able to do the business and do whatever they need to do. Then also we'll look at examples of popular online communities, online platforms, and some we know already, some we may not know. They are actually online communities. Then after that, we will now talk about what problem do you want to solve. So now at that point, we already know what an online community is, but really, is it for everybody? Can you build it as a tech business? You know, can you really make money out of turning what used to be physical to an online business where you can make lots of money from it? Then after that, we'll now talk about how do you make money. You know, now you've been able to figure out, oh, okay, it's an online community. I could put people to come together in a virtual world. How do I monetize it and all that? Then we're going to end it with questions and answer. So our first today is to actually understand what an online community is. So there's so many ways you can look at it, but just to simplify it, to make it as simple as possible for anybody, because if I ask the average person today, can you even define what an online community is? You know what it is, but how do you make it as a sentence, or how do you even explain what it is? And the first thing I said, okay, let me look at what Wikipedia calls it. And it was very straightforward. It said a community is a social unit with commonalities such as place, norms, religious values, customs, or identity. So effectively, what that means is a community is a group of people, in a social environment that have certain things in common that brings them together. It could be you're living in a neighborhood. So the fact that you reside in that neighborhood makes you a community. It could be maybe you have something in common. You're in the same school. The fact that you're in the same school makes it a community. It could be, you're an artist, you're a tech enthusiast. There's something in there that brings everybody together and makes it an online community. Then next, I went forward to even define, what does online even mean? Like, what exactly are we talking about when we say online? And also dictionary.com made it very clear. That's my favorite definition. A term referring to locations on or use of the internet. So very simple. Anything that you use on the internet makes you online. Pretty much. That's how simple it is. So in bringing that together to come up with a very simplified definition of what an online community is, I summarize it to say a community connected over the internet. So that's what it is. You have a community. It could be your neighborhood. It could be your school. But the point, you decide to connect with each other online, maybe through social media platform, through your own school website or neighborhood, you automatically become an online community because you have certain things in common and you are operating via the internet. So after that, let's go into what are the benefits of an online community. So in looking at what the benefits of online community, you have to think about, yes, do I have an advantage over my physical community or the online community? And it's very simple. One, online community gives you global reach. Global reach in the sense that you can actually have members who are actually not in the same neighborhood or in the same country or even in the same continent with you. We have quite a number of examples like that we'll look at in the future in subsequent slides. Then diversity. Diversity is very important also. You have people from different backgrounds, different perspective, different experiences coming together in one community. For example, if you look at where you live, or if you look at your school, everybody's different. You have people from different race, different academic backgrounds, different families, size, different factors that bring everybody together, which creates a melting pot where you can have a rich community. Then the next thing is easy to scale. An online community is easy to scale because one thing you always want is, if you're really looking forward to building an online community as a business, you need to always think about scale. How big can it become? What's the maximum number of members I can have? For example, if you look at your school, there's a maximum number of students you have in your school or your neighborhood. But if you have your community online with certain with certain things bringing them together, there's no limit to the number of people you can have in that community. You have examples of the popular ones, maybe the LinkedIn, the Facebook, all social media channels where you can have so many people, as many as you want, as many people are interested in what you're doing. Then the next thing is easier to monetize. When I say easier to monetize, I'm saying online communities are easier to make money from. In subsequent slides, I'll give you more information around, we'll talk about how to make money from an online community, because at the end of the day, what we're looking at is we're looking at tech as a business, right? And anything called a business that you're not making money is not necessarily a business. It could just be charity. So we're going to look at how to make money. So, but one thing I can say at this point is you can you can make money faster or easier from an online community than a physical community. Then the next one is lower cost of administration. It's easier to manage an online community than a physical community because the cost of putting people in a venue, the cost of maybe providing refreshments and things like that, logistics, is lower when you're talking about an online community, because you don't have to spend so much. All you need is maybe a Zoom, a chat room, or a tool where everybody can converge and do the business that they need to do together as a community. So it's relatively easier to manage. Then it's easier to integrate to other platforms. So what do I mean? I mean, if you have an online community, a website, a platform, you can integrate it to other related platforms. E.g., maybe you want, for example, if you have your school community, for example, if you have an online platform, you can actually integrate it with Udemy or Coursera or any of these guys that offer e-learning opportunities. So it's easy for people, rather than having to leave the website, they can actually buy whatever courses or get whatever trainings they need to do directly from that online community. So it's easier to integrate with other platforms. Then we'll look at examples, some popular examples of online community platforms we know. I think the most popular is Facebook. We can argue that from now till tomorrow, but it is Facebook. A little background about the history of Facebook. Facebook, I was joking with a friend recently. We talked about Facebook, and he was saying, do you know that Facebook was created as a platform where people can be nosy, sort of like mind other people's business? So if you read the story of Facebook, or if you watch the movie, you realize that what Mark was trying to do then was to create a platform where people can put their details, pictures, and like somewhere people can get to know what's happening with the other person in the school. He never thought of it as growing big to other schools and becoming this huge. So in a way, you can say yes, it was set up for people to be able to see what other people are doing. And I think he started from his school there, which was Harvard, and he built a community around it. So if you look at it that way, and with that, he was able to build a bigger community that went beyond the school and to other schools, and now global community, whereby you have people who are now running sub-communities on the Facebook platform, and probably have never met or probably will never meet physically, but they share a common bond. They share a lot of things together right now. So Facebook is one of the biggest one. Another common one is Instagram. Instagram is the same thing. You have so many communities, you have so many channels, so many pages, people following each other to get to know what is happening with each other. Then you have TikTok. TikTok too, for videos, people who like videos, you have a community on that. Then for professionals who are looking for jobs or professional investors and all that, you have LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also a very big platform for communities. You have sub-communities and all that. Then you have Twitter. Then you have Pinterest. Then you have quite a number of them. There's so many of them across different countries, different continents, and all that. Those are the very popular ones. They all started from the small idea of bringing people together to achieve a certain goal or common objective. Then gradually, they took those things and replicated it across other spaces, whereby it became so big that people cannot even couldn't have imagined that this is what it's become. So the next thing is we need to now look at the next thing. Now that we know what an online community is, and we know some common examples that we have of online communities, we now need to go to it directly for ourselves. So, and the question you always need to ask yourself when you're thinking of an online community is this: what problem are you trying to solve? So you understand what an online community is. You're thinking in your head, what if I can be the next Mark Zuckerberg? What if I can be the next the Facebook LinkedIn founder? What if I can build the next Twitter, Jack Dorsey and all that? What if? It's not impossible. It just depends on how hungry you are to achieve these things. And I can tell you, it's actually achievable. You just have to know the right steps and go around the right steps. And the first thing about the right step is this: you need to ask yourself that question: what problem do you want to solve, or what problem are you solving? Because one common thing about all online communities, they are together because of one or more common reasons. And reality about those reasons is that in those reasons, you can actually find out the problem they're trying to solve. So for example, a typical neighborhood would probably have a community where their job is to Sorry, just having a bit of technical challenges today.
No worries.
Okay, so let me just try to get the screen back in a second. Sorry, what was the last thing you heard? Okay, great. So back to where I was. Sorry, before I was technology. So technology. Want to solve as a community. So most neighborhoods, for example, what they do is okay, maybe they're trying to ensure security in the neighborhood, or they're trying to what do you call it, for the betterment of every member, maybe people who need schools for their kids and all that, some key important things in the neighborhood. So the first thing you need to understand to set up an online community is you need to understand what problem are you solving. So I give you a typical scenario. Right now, I'm working on something with a couple of friends to solve a problem that can be addressed by an online community. So my background is in accounting and finance. I've done that for quite some years. And I just realized recently that anytime I need to interview guys, I probably have to go through about 100 resumes to get maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 candidates at the max. Then by the time I go through the 20 candidates, I probably get only 2 or 3 guys with the right skill set I want. And I realize it's become a trend for the last couple of years. I think it's even getting worse. Why? Because what you learn in school is not necessarily what you do in the real world. You learn about accounting, you learn about finance, you learn about a couple of things, the technical bits of it, but nobody actually really shows you how to apply those technical knowledge. And because today we have a world that is driven by tech, a world that's driven by tech, a world that you have a lot of startups coming up all over the world. You have so many things happening very fast. Organizations now don't have the time most organizations don't have the time to train people, help them convert that technical skills they obtain from school to real job skills whereby you can apply them and fit in pretty quick. There's still companies that do that. They give you time to learn and they train you, and all that. But a lot of startups today, for example, don't have the time to train. They don't even have the training budget. So what you find out is there's a huge gap. So I realize it's becoming a consistent problem over like a couple of years. You try to hire, you interview, and interview sessions can be very stressful because you're talking to different people, asking questions, trying to assess them. The guy on the other side of the table too is also trying to be their best, but the challenge is, the person you're talking to, the lady or the guy is smart, they can do something. They're very smart, but at that point, what you need, they don't have it. And the question is, can I take the risk and bring them on board and train them? How fast can they learn? Are they willing to put in the extra hours? Are they willing to do all that? So you have that challenge. So I sat down with a couple of friends about 3 years ago. Yeah, we started having the conversation. And what we decided to do was, why don't we create an online community for young finance professionals? Try to start from maybe they've not worked for more than a year, or probably people who are in their final year in school and all that. Why don't we create a community whereby they can get mentorship, guidance, and in the process also, if we can get some of them jobs, coach them for interviews and things like that, why don't we do that? Wouldn't it make our lives relatively easier when we're interviewing? So we started a project like that, just to build an online community for young finance professionals in Africa. So that's the juicy part of it. That's the juicy part. We found the problem. The problem we're trying to solve is we're trying to educate people, give them the right education. Now they've had school education, but we need to bridge that school education with work education, whereby they can fit into the workforce easily. They don't have to know everything. They just need to understand certain things that are important. Sorry, back. Okay, so yeah. So let me try to get my slide back real quick. So okay, so while I get that back, let me keep just talking you through it. So we came up with that, lovely idea. Decided to set up a what do you call it, an online community for that, building it. Looks good. We're happy. We're nice, But that's the sweet part of the story, like I said, because what normally happens is the reality comes. Okay, hey, you got a couple of guys. Tell them, hey, I'm building this. Everybody's happy. Oh, okay, nice idea. I want to join. Then what happens subsequently? Now I have a forum of 200-300 guys. I don't know what to do with them. How do I start? What do I tell them? How do I keep them going? So we started making those iterations. So in the right context, the first thing is define what problem you're trying to solve. That's the problem we try to solve. Then let me move you to the next slide. Then now run you through a more detailed flow of that process. Now that we've defined that problem, which is to educate young finance and accounting professionals, that to put them in a position where they're employable in the real world, the next thing will be how do we now provide that solution? How do we solve the problem? I'm just a finance professional. I've worked with many organizations. I've been involved in fundraise. I've been involved in accounting and all that, but I'm not a teacher. I have no idea what it takes to teach or what it takes to train. The only form of coaching and training I know is the one I do at work. Okay, I have subordinates working, they're stuck, I help them out. That's the only way I know. So over time, we started to make iterations. So the first 1 year of the forum was very boring because we didn't even know what to do. We didn't even have any idea until we got a new guy, a younger guy to join like a year later. He came with fresh ideas, and from his fresh ideas, we were able to understand, the market we're trying to address. And that's where research comes in. So after you identify a problem, you need to do more research about that market. And what do I mean? Here I am, over a decade and a half of finance experiences, and then most of my friends do the same thing. We've passed through so many stages, and here we are. We're trying to talk to guys who have no idea what finance is. So there's that huge gap in terms of experience and expertise. Whatever we'll be saying was too high level for them. you know. They didn't even understand half the conversations, you know, because we were always talking with the initial assumption, okay, when you say this, the people understand what you're talking about, they get it. But reality is they don't, you know. So we had to get someone who was closer to that generation, that understood, you know, what the needs are for that generation. And in the process, we also are learning, because we're still building. We also are learning, and the fact that we're learning is very interesting, and is what is helping to build it as a startup. So the next thing is, after you've been able to identify the problem you're trying to solve, and you've done your research around it, the next big thing is you need to determine what choice of technology you want to use. So the question is, what choice of technology are you going to use? At an early stage, I always advise people that, look, don't spend so much money, because at the early stage, the first 1 year, you're probably learning, you're trying to even understand the market, your target market, you're trying to, because most often than not, what you think is the problem you're solving is not necessarily the problem. So I once listened to a finance expert say something, sort of motivational speaker, and he said that the reason why you are doing what you're doing is not necessarily the reason why the customer will buy from you, you know. So he gave a typical scenario. For example, if you like sports or you watch sports, the reason why you're watching sports is you're excited about it. Oh, you know, it gets you fired up. You know, you like that. Or the guys are winning the game. But in reality, the guys who play those sports don't play because they like that. They probably play because they enjoy. They make money from the process. You know, it's a career to them. It's not a thing of pleasure. It's not something exciting. Just like people who like boxing. People like, oh, okay, you enjoy the fact that people beat themselves up. Oh, you just want to see, you know, someone get knocked out and all that. But in reality, the guys who watch boxing, the guys who fight, don't fight because they enjoy somebody watching them being knocked down or knocking somebody else out. So, you know, so those are some of the things you need to also take into consideration while building it. You need to determine why they're using it. Then also at an early stage, you need to determine the technology. Our forum or our platform or community started with WhatsApp. So the whole idea was let's text, let's gather enough information for the first 1 year and see what can we do with these guys. Now we got them here. What do they want? And in the process of knowing what they want, we're able to iterate. Then from WhatsApp, we moved on to Facebook. We created a forum on Facebook. Right now, I think WhatsApp membership is about 1,000 plus. Then Facebook membership is 6,000, still growing. Then from there, we're now working on building a website. So what we've learned over the last 2 years is, okay, hey, these are the specific needs these guys have, and this is how to build it. So it's the same approach you use. You learn, you make iterations, you make corrections, you make improvements, you keep trying, until you get to what you really can say now. You understand this particular target market. So it could be youths, young people trying to go into the tech space. You can build a tech community. I think there are a couple of them on Twitter. Twitter is a good place to see a lot of guys on tech. Build tech community. What do young guys trying to go into tech want? They want knowledge. They want opportunities to be part of projects. Good. So you build a community where they can get access to projects, maybe to volunteer for those projects, to actually have the real experience before they start to make some money, or projects that can even pay them upfront. You can do that. That's very easy. So very, very important. And also, one key thing I tell people is you need to be consistent and give yourself time. These things don't come in 1 month, 2 months. It comes in a year, 2 years. You're still building, because reality is you're learning every day. And my rule of thumb is, at least before you give up or do anything, you must have 2 cycles of anything you're doing. So there must be 2 cycles, at least. 1 year, you've done 4 seasons. Then the next year, you've done the same 4 seasons. So you understand what it is in January, what your expectations are in the January, in the community, what your expectations are in the September, maybe school period, you know. So with that way, you get more knowledge and more information about how to fully run that particular online community you're building. And the funny thing about it is you can't buy that knowledge. It only comes from that experience when you keep doing it. So I'll move to the next slide, which is how do you make money? So after all this building community, exciting, blah, 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 what exactly is the purpose, right? For a tech person or a young person, you don't want to make money or you want to make impact. Even if you want to make impact, you still need to make some money. If not, you'll be frustrated and you might not actualize your dream. So very simple ways to make money. Very, very simple. Step one, paid subscription. That's the easiest many people do. So if you go to some forums, you get the free part and you get the paid section. Paid section is like the premium. So what people do is you create the free part so that people have an idea of the kind of content, the kind of benefits that you get with that. But if you want more, you have to pay for it. So for example, my online community we're building, there's a free part where you get to read the daily newsletter. We share the daily newsletter and write on topical issues every day. We share that. But the paid part, the guys who pay the premium will have access to one-on-one coaching session. We'll have access to discounts. We are currently in talks with a couple of organizations to partner with, whereby our members can get further discounts for being members of our online community. So, but for you to benefit from that, you need to be a paid member, not the free part of things. Advertising and marketing. Advertising and marketing stems from data analytics or data mining. So I tell people this, right? People who don't know that, look, do you know that Facebook is a data business? It's not a social media platform. It's not what many people think it is. It's a data business. And I think if you think about it, have you ever gone on Facebook to search for something, maybe new shoes, and you suddenly see every time you open a page or something, new shoes keep following you all over the place? Like, you're wondering, how on earth did these guys know I want new shoes? Or on Google, maybe there's a song in your head. By the time you type it, you see it will autofill, or it will give you suggestions. You're wondering, how does this guy know what is going on in my head? So most of these communities or platforms run based on data, and this data is what they use to help advertisers improve their products. So for example, if I know that your community is for tech enthusiasts who are trying to, early stage tech enthusiasts who are trying to cross from high school to college, or not even interested in college, but they are mostly people in their last years of high school. And if I have a product or business that I want to sell to those guys, I know I need to come to you to market and advertise. Then you can charge them a fee for that. So on our platform, the one I'm currently building, you have sections for advertisements, whereby you have like roll-up banners, you have other stuff there. People pay for some access so that people can see their adverts and click to be able to buy from them. So you can make money from advertising and marketing by partners. Grants, subsidies, and external funding. This is also very common. So depending on the kind of community you're building, for example, if you build a tech community for people going through depression, we all know what COVID did. A lot of people thought they were strong until COVID came. We all realized, man, some of these things we don't normally pay attention to are actually big deal. Our mental health, a lot of people, just because life was normal until COVID came, we now realize that, man, we have neglected that for too long, and we need to check up on people and understand that people might be struggling because of the lockdown, because it's new, it happened to everybody. So if you build a platform, a community whereby people help people with depression or people with addiction, you will get grants. There are so many organizations that are willing to finance it, to provide money for you to make that happen, and that, because it's very important. Those are things that are making major social impacts and saving our lives, lives of important people out there that really feel the impact. So if you can build a community around that, you would easily get grants or funding for that. Then another way you can make money is through sale of products and services. So for example, there are some online communities that sell gears. For example, if you're a member of my online community that I'm building, you can get to buy t-shirts, you can get to buy hats, you can get to buy mugs, you can get to buy other stuff. Then you can even pay for coaching sessions, resume review, and things like that, because you're a member of those communities, and we make money from those things. We've not started making money yet. The plan is for Q1 2023, but I'm just giving you an idea of some of the ways we're looking to monetize it and make some money. Then also, most importantly, agency fees and commissions. you can have direct integration, which I mentioned earlier. You can integrate with a Udemy or a couple of all these guys that provide online courses. For example, my online community, we're in talk to Udemy and a couple of other places to see if we can integrate directly. So if you buy a Udemy course from our community, our business gets a percentage of that. And it's the same price. You don't have to pay extra. In fact, in some cases, we're trying to see if we can get it cheaper than what people will buy out there, at least to encourage people in the community to buy. And if you buy those courses, we get a certain fee or commission from that transaction. So there's so many other ways you can monetize it. There's so many, there could even be donations from members of the community. There could even be, the more you go in your tech career, the more you understand some level of sophistication, because at some point you will learn about how to exit a business, how to sell off the business. So there are two ways businesses make money, two general broad categories. You can actually be a revenue generating business right now, making positive cash flow, or you can be building a platform where you can sell it off later to, people that need it. A bigger business, you can get an investor to come and buy you out and take over the business. But those are things that way ahead. When you get to that stage, you probably cannot ask the right questions around it. Then, in my last words for today, not to keep you too long here, I'm a big fan of Steve Jobs, and I think if you really want to achieve anything in life, you need to actually look for one or two very successful people in the tech space. People who did it against all odds, which Steve Jobs is one of them. When nobody believed all these things could be done, him, the Bill Gates and co, they did it. So I'm a big follower of him. And one thing that he says that resonates with me today, and I will share with you, is the ones, like I quote him in his exact words, the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. So it's very, very important. So even if your dream, your idea, your tech knowledge, you'll be looking at, it's not possible to do this, doesn't make sense. I can assure you, you actually have something in you that you can actually build an online community with. And COVID has shown us anything can be online, anything, like literally anything. One area I also advise we all try to do more research around is NFTs. NFTs is becoming the metaverse, is becoming something big. And I think Facebook, Meta, the parent company of Facebook, is actually leading the way in so many areas. And it's an area I think everybody should focus on. It's like building a real world, in a different space, in an online space. You actually get to buy NFTs. See, if you follow the trend of, though Bitcoin is dropping, but if you follow the trend of NFTs and how much they're selling those stuff these days, you can figure out that, wow, people are actually making tons of money from creating pictures that probably will look like an ugly picture to you. I've seen rocks, I've seen all sorts, and people sell it at huge money because there you can own your asset. So it's not just a picture anybody can just use and you'll be struggling to fight copyrights. In that space, you own it. And also there's so many areas of tech communities you can build and work on. So knowledge base is my own area of strength, which is where I focus on. So I'll advise you to look inward, look for something that you feel you can actually deal with and solve and take it from there. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you for that amazing workshop, George. I know I learned a lot and picked up some good tips. We now have a bit of time. If anyone has any questions for him, you can private or public message any questions in the chat and we'll try to get to them as much as we can. So I guess to start off, George, what made you decide to choose this path?
Okay. In my case, I think it was more of an accident, sort of accident in the sense that when I started out, I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew I wanted to make money. And so the first set of jobs I took, because like I said, I have a finance and accounting background. I started with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and life just took me. I just started reading more. Then I met someone who was an entrepreneur, and he told me that, look, if I can give him some time of my life, it will show me a different path that I will never regret. And I think I just took the risk, and I think my first experience then was far back as 2000 and that would be 2012, 2013, where I got involved in e-commerce to understand the e-commerce space, to understand what it is for a company to be making losses and investors keep putting money in it. I came from the background where everywhere I worked were profitable businesses, everything was okay, to a place where the business was being built, we're making losses, but people kept on pumping more money and more money. So that caught my curiosity that why would these smart guys be putting in so much money in a loss-making business? And within a span of 3 to 6 months, I got to learn about what VCs do, venture capitalists, about the future of technology, where it's going, payments, cross-border payments, and all that. So for me, it was more of an accident. Like I said, I wasn't planning for it. It was just a stroke of luck. I met the guy and I decided to take the chance. So I think that's one thing that's also important. You need to also learn to take some calculated risk that, hey, what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't go well, what do you do? I can always go back to where I came from. And ever since I started, I never stopped. I never looked back. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. So you mentioned that like it was a big risk going into it. And I guess our next question is, what is the biggest challenge that you faced after taking that risk?
Well, the biggest challenge, to be honest, is more of a mental thing, because the way things happen is when you take a risk, reality happens, and when reality happens, your mind is always. I mean, we're human beings. The natural thing for us as humans to always say, "Hey, let me go back to my most comfortable zone." So when I took the job, then I was my salary was very good. I had a car. I mean, the company gave me a car to use. I had a driver. And here I was taking up a job where I was practically not sure when the next paycheck was. So I think after the first 2 months or 3 months, I'm like, oh God, am I sure that I've not made the biggest mistake of my life? And so I spoke to a mentor. This is another thing I'll advise you guys to do. I had a couple of guys I looked up to. I like to call them mentors, but I think I need to borrow some keywords from one of the people I follow. It's an online mentor also. The mentor actually doesn't have to be someone you meet with. It just has to be someone you respect and like what they say or do, and you can follow their words. So the guy calls them maps and mirrors. Now, maps are mentors, people who are way ahead of you. They've been through life 10, 20 years before you. They can tell you some of the decisions you're about to take, where to lead to, and the mirrors are your peers who are also doing similar things. You can use to, benchmark yourself. Okay, I'm not doing badly. So I spoke to one of my maps mentor, and he told me that, look, you can look at things from two perspectives. You can look at it from the perspective of what if he fails? How bad would it hit you? And you can also look at it from the perspective of what if it goes well? What are the benefits of it going well? And I think from that moment, I changed my perspective from looking at the negative side of things. Because what happens is the moment you start thinking negative, you become defensive and try to be like, oh God, I need to protect myself from this. But the moment you start looking at it, this can work out. What happens in your mind automatically is you try to figure out how to make it work out. And in the process, you learn a lot and you'll be surprised how great you become going forward. So for me, that was the biggest challenge. I had to overcome the mental side of things, telling myself every day, dude, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the right thing. And from then on, it just became good. I got used to disappointments. I got used to a lot of no. I got used to a lot of bad days. I realized I came with the job description, but you just have to keep going. That's just it.
No, that's great. Thank you. And I guess kind of tying to that, how have your experiences helped you along the way? Like how with your learnings and I guess like the perspectives, how has that changed the way that you did things?
Great. So I think that's actually a very wonderful question. Why? Because what experiences do for you is it shapens your mind and shapens the way you look at stuff. So, for example, I'm a big thinker. I don't look at things from a small perspective. So, for example, what you see, a lot of people come up with ideas, and all they see, they want it in this small world, small environment, small society, not knowing that such an idea can actually become a global idea. So I've been opportune to talk to those kind of people that changed the world, sort of, in a way where they built disruptive technologies and made such impact. And one thing I realized about them, they're actually humans like me. So that has helped me in the sense that anytime I'm thinking of something, I'm asking myself, how big can this become? Then I'm also being honest with myself that, look, at some point, I'm going to have to get out of the way of that thing to actually achieve its dream. Yes, I may be a dreamer and I have my limitations. So, for example, one key thing is this. When I started my online community with my friends, it was my idea. I wanted to do it alone, but I realized that, look, I have a limitation to my technical skill. I can actually do it myself, but I know it's going to be very small. I can never grow beyond a certain level. So what I did was I looked for people who can complement what I don't have. I looked for people with sales background. I look for people with technology background. I look for people with training background. Those are things I don't have. I can be resilient. I can have ideas, but there are certain areas that I lack. So my experience has taught me that, look, you can't be a know-it-all, do-it-all. Then also, don't be too greedy, because, and I think that's one thing very important. People tie emotions into businesses, like, oh, it's my company, it's my business, I have to run it. No, I don't mind. The most important thing for me is to set the goals and the objective of that and give it the best I can. Then when I realize that my best is no longer good enough, allow other people. So it has really shaped my thinking when I'm actually doing stuff. For me now, it goes beyond just money. Everybody wants to make money. I want to make money. But at the end of the day, I should look at the bigger picture. What kind of impact can I make in what I do? So that's what it has turned me into ever since then. Thanks.
Wow. Yeah, very insightful. And so for our last question, we're actually going to bring it to anyone who's listening and wants to start their own online business possibly. So if you have any advice for others, they could be students or just anyone trying to start their own business, what would you tell them?
Very easy. Start small. Look for a problem, identify it, start small. Don't be too emotional about it, but start small. Yeah, don't compare yourself with the big guy. So for example, I think you can have maybe a delivery business, or maybe, I don't know, a community of young guys who wants to learn tech. You can start small. It could be a WhatsApp group, just make sure that you understand what the problem is that you're trying to solve, and gradually grow into it. Feed that, like one of my mentors would say, feed the beast, because you're supposed to build something that's huge and humongous. So it's not going to be huge and humongous in 1 year. To be honest with you, it could take you 3 to 5 years to figure it out. Don't lose sight. I'll give you a typical scenario. Facebook, it took Facebook 7 years before they figure out how to make money from Facebook. 7 years of just building, just keep trying all stuff. So if you want to start very small. Try things. Don't be afraid. What's the worst that can happen? You never can tell what something can become if you don't try. But if you try and it fails, then you know that, okay, I tried. I'm not just trying. You put in your best. I tried, I put in my best, and it didn't work out. Then you know that, okay, I did my best, but it didn't work out. And this is why it didn't work out. So if you want to start small. Look for something that you're passionate about, that you know that even without money you can do, that excites you. Try it, then build it gradually. Do a bit of research, ask questions. Very importantly, people don't understand that. Then also, one key thing, I think I didn't mention this: find a community. Yes, you're building a community, but you also need to find a positive community. It could be a tech community, it could be anything. People that will get you fired up, because I'm a member of a number of them, and I can tell you what I've learned from those communities is priceless. Because what happens is, even when you're struggling, you're trying to build something, you're struggling, you're demotivated, by the time you meet members of that community, you realize that you're not alone. And in there, they'll probably share some insights too on how they were able to address that particular problem you're currently facing. For example, when I wanted to start mine, I had the idea of creating a website, and all that. I tried it, but it was just not going forward until someone in the community told me that, look, what you're missing is you need content. You need content, and you need daily content. And before you measure that content, make sure that you've done 365 days of content. I'm like, wow, I can't do that myself. And the person said, yes, she didn't do it herself too. All she had to do was hire someone like on Fiverr, give me 365 content, do this and paid for it. And then she started dropping it every day. And before you knew it, I think after like 2 months or 3 months, I started getting traction, more people joining, inviting friends, because then they started seeing value in it. So very importantly, if you want to start small. Look for communities that will support your dream and idea. If it's a tech business, look for tech community. If it's a startup business, look for startup community. Look for mentors, people that you can always bounce ideas off because they have experience. They will always be willing to guide and talk to you and even do some introductions in some cases. And most importantly, give it time. It won't take 1 month or 2 months. It might take a year or 2 years. Give it time and be passionate about it, and you'll be successful at the end of the day.
Well, thank you so much, George. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. I'd like to end off by thanking George Jinadu for taking the time to lead the workshop today and sharing his valuable insights. Thank you. And thank you to everyone for attending today's session with PTC Vancouver. We hope you all had a great experience. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at PTC Vancouver. Once again, thank you for taking the time to participate in PTC Vancouver's theme of tech entrepreneurship. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.